Good day and good noon, actually, because that's the time it is where I am. Today we're going to be doing the new MSQ stuff, which I imagine there's a lot of people that are literally doing it right now or are postponing until they have time to do it later. That said, I'm doing it now. So hope some of you will join me for that. Hey Ardell and hey Bob, hope you're both doing very well. And of course, spoiler warning for anyone who has just tuned in, like maybe you seeing this in the future in a VOD or something. We're doing the patch 6.55 MSQ now. So if you don't want to hear or see that, this is your warning. Are we getting sent back and forth? I could have sworn Sip was just here a moment ago. Anyway. Kaitsu, one of my clerks, was just here with a message for you. The students of Baldesian request your presence in Charlene at your earliest convenience. Indebted as I am to our friends, I had hoped that I, too, might be of service, but it is you alone that they require. If you have no pressing business, pray make your way to the Baldesian Annex at once. Ojika awaits your arrival. Why did he have to be the one telling us that? In the meantime, I shall continue showing Erstaya the city. From notable landmarks to the people's lives, there's still much and more for her to see. I suppose the logic is that basically all the MSQ has started here in post-game. Very well for now, my friend. I look forward to the day we set forth on another adventure together. Still weird. Hello. You've gone to the wrong hub. Hey Gassel, hope you're doing well. I'm guessing you're ahead of me. It's so 655 starts where 65 ends. Oh yeah, that does make sense. It still feels a little weird. But yeah, that actually makes perfect sense because that's usually how it goes, right Matthew? Also, hey Matthew, hope you're doing well. A warm and hearty welcome to you, Katsu. I gather you received our message. Please wait here while I fetch Kryl and Graha. Thank you for coming on such short notice. And forgive us for sending for you so soon after your trials in the void, to say nothing of your grueling battle against the 12. Now then, we aren't actually the ones who require your presence, but Erenville. He stopped by recently, you see, and asked us to reach out to you on his behalf. I imagine you're as surprised as we are, given that he was supposed to be away on a long expedition. Something must have necessitated a change in his plans. All he would tell me is that there is someone whom he wishes Kaitsu to meet. He also mentioned that he would be tending to business at the studio. Shall we look for him there? Thank you, Asmodee and Kitsu. Hope you have a good day as well. I actually considered doing an expert roulette myself, Gassel, but then I thought, I'll get to that eventually. At some point today, I guess. I'm not in that much of a hurry. Weird. My mouse was stuck as the finger point for way too long. What was it? What happened? I wonder where the quest guy is. Or the quest NPC, which is Kryl. Hey, Kryl, are you okay down there? Now then, where is Erenville?
Erenville!
Apologies for the wait. I hope I haven't called you away from anything important. I chanced upon some commissioned items at my destination, so I thought I might deliver them.
Where did you go, if I may ask?
The New World. Tural.
You went to Tural? Then the person who you wish to introduce...
Aye, she hails from there. I present to you...
Yes?
But it seems you've lost her.
Did she wander off?
Sorry. It's just so different here. I can't help but want to explore.
Well, while you were exploring, your candidate came to us. This is her, the adventurer you crossed the seas to meet.
Ooh, you weren't exaggerating. It's plain she's no ordinary woman. I'm Wuk Lamat, claimant to the throne of Tural.
I do appreciate that the first time they say that word, they have an NPC say it. That's nice.
Tural.
Thank you. Can we have Graha say it as well? I think I might need it.
It's Tural's governing nation. The capital bears the same name.
I'll get to the point. I want you to come with me to my homeland.
Given the magnitude of the request, perhaps you should explain why you're making it?
Of course. Soon, an event of great import will be held in Tural. The Rite of Succession. Taking the form of a contest, it will determine who next ascends the throne. As daughter to its present keeper, I will participate. And I have every intention of winning. I was searching for champions to join me when Erenville told me about you. A mighty warrior who knows no fear, who sweeps aside terrible fiends as if they were reeds, who flew to the edge of existence and saved our star.
She asked who Eorzea's greatest hero was, and so I told her. Much more elegantly, I might add.
Now you know why. You'll come to Tural, yes?
Wait, let's all just slow down.
Let's all slow down. We're not going there for another few months at least.
Wuk Lamat, was it? You claim to be of the royal family, but is it not the Mamulja who rule in Tural?
Tural is a nation of many peoples. Not only the Mamulsha, as some across the seas are quick to assume. That said, its present ruler is a Mamulsha, and one blessed with two heads besides. He's also my father. Not by blood, obviously, but he raised me as his own, and that's what matters.
So that is the way of it. My apologies if I was indelicate.
Hardly. I know little about your land, and nothing about your parentage. But in my eagerness, I've gotten ahead of myself. I can't expect you to agree on the spot when we've only just met. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Just know, though, that if it's adventure you seek, you could do far worse than come with me. Now, this is only a rumor. But apparently, the contest will involve the fabled city of gold and the legendary beast, Valyarmanda. Tell me that doesn't pique your interest.
You have my complete attention.
We're going to get along, you and I. Tural has no shortage of unexplored frontiers and deadly fiends. You'll never want for excitement, I promise you.
I advise you not to put much store by these rumors. Golden cities are not but a dreamer's fancy.
Says the dreamer who was bent on finding one when he was a child. Just because you failed doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Tuliolal and the Golden City. Just like in the letter to Grandfather.
Regardless of what the contest may entail, it'll be no simple thing. If I'm to triumph, I'll need capable and dependable companions. So let's go on a hunt together. There's no better way to get acquainted.
A hunt, you say? Already did one whole quest. Speedrun time. It's time to find an A rank. Exactly, Matthew. Yes! The chance to see not only Tural, but the fabled Golden City besides. This is the stuff of grand adventures, my friend. Which is not to say you should hastily accept this invitation, mind. There's still a great deal we do not know. So let us begin to rectify that by first getting acquainted with our visitor in the manner she suggests. I'm not certain what might be a suitable location for her hunt, however. When I was at the guild earlier, I learned about a petition from researchers on the Isle of Ham. You went there not long ago and caught some unruly fauna, of course, but according to recent reports, other ordinarily docile fauna have grown savage. It's believed that they've been unsettled by some manner of predator, and so the researchers seek assistance with identifying and dispatching it. As part of your hunt, perhaps you might answer the petition? The isle isn't far, and we would also be helping those in need. That works for me! Just so you know, I've honed my skills against some of the fiercest beasts in Tural. Whatever this creature is, it had better be able to put up a proper fight, or it'll end before we have the chance to get acquainted. Before we can prove ourselves capable and dependable companions... My apologies, but I must see to some preparations. Pray go on ahead to the Isle. I will join you as soon as possible. Gee, I wonder what Kryl is doing. If the rest of you are ready, let us head to the harbor. This being guild ship business, it should be simple enough to secure a vessel. You just started with the Hildebrand stuff, Castle. Fair enough. I always tend to do the MSQ stuff first. Mainly because that usually locks the expert roulette, but the simple fact that the expert roulette is not locked is the exact same as being told beforehand there is no dungeon in this new patch. And I suppose you're right, Matthew. I guess the server maintenance... Well, I wonder, does server maintenance reset all of the spawns? Or is it just, well, no one's been able to spawn them because of the 24-hour maintenance, so presumably they're all available. I've caught up to Aradil! It's a solo duty. So we have to take a ship. Ugh, and I've barely set foot on dry land. Oh well, I suppose it's for a good cause. A hunt. Come on, let's get going. Upon boarding the ship, several cutscenes will play in sequence. It is recommended that you set aside sufficient time to view these scenes in their entirety. In addition, you will be required to participate in battle. Your progress will be saved at certain points. In the events you are defeated, you will be able to try again from the most recent of these. Please note that if you enter battles associated with other quests or log out from the game, this progress will be lost. Nope. I don't want to be a healer for something like that. Summoner, yeah. Yeah, let's do summoner. E ranks go up shortly after service go up. S ranks are all on cooldown, but they all come up together. Fair enough.
From here, we must walk.
So much ice. It rivals even Wuk Tural. Ooh, a white bear. I wonder what it tastes like.
Remember, we're here to deal with creatures that have been deemed an unacceptable danger. Do not attack anything else unprovoked.
I know. So this is the isle where ether literally bursts forth.
Aye, the Isle of Ham. The geysers lie deep inland, however.
You really are knowledgeable. Kona told me nothing about this place.
I doubt your brother managed to come out this way. He's like to have toured facilities like Labyrinthos, however.
The great big cavern under the city. It's amazing that they could make a sky down there complete with a sun.
This brother of yours, he has been to Sharlayan.
He has. Kona's my second older brother, and until recently he was a student in this city. He went on and on about technological amusements. It made me want to come here too one day. And so I did. I think I understood something of how he felt when I set foot in his beloved studium.
He went to the studium? Your brother must be quite a scholar. But I wonder, like you, he'd be royalty, yes? With such a personage coming to Sharlayan to receive an education would surely have caused a stir, yet I recall nothing of the sort.
He consulted with the head of the studium beforehand, that his identity might remain secret. Being Mikote, he had no trouble blending in. He's adopted like me, you see. One time, though, he almost let it slip to a professor. It was all he could do to parry the barrage of questions.
Having no shortage of questions myself, I can imagine.
Ask whatever you like. I don't mind. But I maintain hunting together is the best way to get to know someone.
The researchers should be up ahead. Let's find them and learn what we can.
See, Gazel says the relic stat system is the same, but the first two stats are higher. Oh, so that means that the stats are not, like, completely customizable in the same way that the Shadowbringers ones are, I assume.
Researchers should be just ahead. There. The building to the northeast.
So, ordinarily harmless creatures have grown savage.
Don't know what's got them riled up, but I'll take down any that thinks to try me. Right, let's hunt our fill.
If that's the case, that would at least have some impact on whether these new relics will be the de facto best in slots for older ultimates and things like that. Because that was assumed based on the specific case that
Someone's in trouble.
that was the case with
Taste my axe.
with Shadowbringer's relics.
These animals are usually so docile.
Aradel says, I wonder if the Wuk Lamat abilities could tease Warrior 7.0. Maybe. She using anything new? So far it looked mostly like she was using things like like Chaotic Cyclone. Oh, thank goodness you've come. I take it you're the one who answered our petition. Wait, aren't you? You are! Kites of the adventure who saved our star! Would that our meeting was under better circumstances. I was conducting a routine inspection of the transporter here when I suddenly found myself surrounded. You'll find more of the same across the chasm. Once docile animals grown strangely aggressive. My colleagues there can tell you more. If you'll give me just a moment, I can finish checking our equipment. It is a good question.
Really are famous.
I will try to keep a closer look
For
on
good reason, as you'll soon see for yourself.
Wuk Lamat, just in case. There's also the possibility that her attacks will just be weirdly named, given that her tank stance is not called Defiance.
Quite an interesting contraption you've got here.
Is that our petitioner? Let's go and have a chat.
The adventurer comes to answer my petition, I presume. We're most fortunate to have one of your considerable skill here to aid us. A creature of unknown origins has been sighted on the island in recent days, and we believe its presence has affected the local fauna. The animals beyond this gate are the worst affected we've encountered thus far, though we dare not go back. Your task is to quell any threats you find, and search for traces of the beast responsible for all this. If you should find anything at all, we would be most grateful if you would share it with us.
I'll handle this. Hold still.
That was a new attack.
Is that all?
And it had a cast time.
Come on, let's pick up the creature's trail.
I didn't see what the attack was called. Uses Flight of the Luvatana. You find ravaged beast remains torn to shreds by sharp talons.
Claw marks. I've seen their like before. It's starting to feel like a proper hunt.
Indeed, it was expected that the relic weapons would be slightly better than the like savage weapons, and and that adds up. Although I guess the ultimate weapons having an extra, like having 3 materia slots, also makes an impact. Find feathers are scattered about the ground. There are signs of a fierce struggle.
Feathers. But did they belong to the predator or the prey?
So, how do you prefer our prey? Roasted or raw?
You presume it's even safe to eat?
The cloying stench of fresh leavings assails your nostrils. Whatever beast left them is likely still close by.
Still fresh. Whatever this beast, it cannot be far.
Do you suppose they're upset we disturbed their home?
Yes, that's why they were angry before we arrived.
If they're spoiling for a fight, then hey, got one.
That's why they're angry before we got here, Graha. That's how that works.
Let's head back and report what we found.
Let's head back and report what we found. We found leavings.
Powerful wings and razor-sharp talons. Worthy prey. Ah! What is that thing?
Of course.
It speaks?
It's heading towards the falls.
I'll stay with the researchers. The creature, I leave to you.
Come, Wuk Lamat.
Right.
That's the guy from the Fruit Loops. Aha! Also, hey, Quackball. Hope you're doing well. It's pretty good. Certainly looked weird. Blap. This is where we fight the bear.
Just so we're clear, I wasn't startled by the beast earlier. It caught me by surprise, that's all.
Forgive me, but I failed to see a difference.
I'm getting hungry. Let's be done with this so we can eat.
Caught me by surprise! Caught me by surprise!
Think you're clever, huh? I'll rip off that beak and roast you on a spit!
That's the spirit, I think. Ah, convenient. We have a boss arena. Wow.
Talk all you like, bird. I'm going to have the last laugh. Oh, I'm going to enjoy sinking my teeth into you.
Wind unbound. Is that a knockback? It is not.
Shut up already, you blasted bird!
Look out!
Given how the NPCs were moving, I expected it to be a frontal cone attack or something, and then it just wasn't.
Not good. Quickly, gather together. I've got you.
was too close.
That is an interesting way to use Holmgang. Warrior rescue. Could you imagine if they got that? Wouldn't that be weird? And also massively concerning, given what we already know about how people use those kinds of tools.
You pay for that.
No, my rekindle.
Thank you.
That was possibly the easiest button mash of my life. I just see it like, oh right, and then it just instantly succeeded. Weird.
That was hardly a tickle. Try this. Yeah, nothing to it.
Interesting use of Primal Rend. Last I checked, that isn't a limit break. But okay.
Throw everything you have at it.
Okay, Ifrit, go! Did he use triple cast for damage? I'm somehow not surprised.
And I had barely limbered up.
It was a terrible foe, but no match for your axe.
Only to be expected. You were pretty impressive yourselves. I was right to invite you on a hunt. But what a curious bird that was. Though we have similar in Tural, they don't grow so big or use such dirty tricks.
Dirty tricks? Dirty tricks?
Aye, dirty and despicable. Otherwise, I could have easily...
Round 2?
Leave this to me. How about you?
Ah yes, the Moogle laser. Although the paint looked weird.
Cryle.
I am terribly, terribly sorry to have kept you all waiting.
She arrived as I was seeing the researchers to safety. It was all I could do to keep up with her after I explained what happened.
So this is what you meant by seeing to preparations?
After hearing of the contest, I thought how wonderful it would be to join you. In coming here, I wanted to demonstrate my skill at arms to Wuk Lamat. Alas, it seems I missed most of the action.
That was amazing! The piece didn't stand a chance!
I'm glad to have been of service.
May I ask what inspired this change?
You will recall the time you descended to the ethereal sea in search of Heidelin. Recognizing that my skills were inadequate, I chose to provide support from afar, rather than join you. It was the same when you set forth for Ultima Thule. How it pained me to stay behind, again and again. That's what inspired this change. Ever since the final days were averted, I've used every spare moment to hone my craft.
I picked up painting.
As you all have adapted your methods to suit the circumstances, I started by considering how I might best contribute. And after much deliberation, I arrived at my answer.
I want to main one of the new jobs that you don't have access to yet.
With the esoteric art passed down by the legendary Archon realm, Pictomancy.
The legendary Archon realm. That's the original Pictomancer. Right?
As I recall, you have embraced versatility to effectively complement a certain someone's style. What I do is much the same. Like you, I don't want to be left behind.
Indeed. I must say, you appear to be especially keen on being involved in the ritual of succession. Is there any particular reason?
Yes, there is. This letter from Tural. It was addressed to my grandfather Galuf and turned up among the students' archives. The ink was faded, so I couldn't fully make out the sender's name. Galul, someone.
Jaja. Gulul Jaja. That's my father, the Dawn servant. What does the letter say?
While much of it isn't legible, it appears to be a request to investigate the Golden City.
A request to investigate the Golden City? From the Dawn servant himself?
Well, well. Seems it may be more than a rumor after all.
Being a member of the royal family, it was my hope that you could confirm the authenticity of this letter.
I can say for a fact that my father didn't write this.
Ah! He doesn't even know English.
Given how culturally diverse Toliyolal is, it was decided some time ago that a common language was needed. But instead of elevating an existing tongue and its speakers above all others, we looked to those widely spoken overseas and created an altogether new one. The similarities to your common tongue also make it quite easy to communicate in these situations, no? This letter, however, is entirely in Eorzean. If Father had written this, he would have been in Turali. And what's more, it bears a wax seal, We don't bother with them.
So the letter is fraudulent then?
Oh, I didn't mean to say that. My father's signature is genuine, as far as I can tell, so perhaps he simply dictated it.
I see. Oh, thank you for the confirmation. It seems my grandfather indeed had dealings with Tural.
I just want to point out, given the camera angles and everything, that the way this action happened is Wuk Lamat basically did this. Just dropped the paper letter, and Tural was just like, yoink. Huge confidence that the letter would just like plop down directly downwards.
I can't help but be curious as to what exactly he was doing there. In order to help us decide on a course of action, would you mind if I asked you some questions about your home?
By all means. After all, learning about one another was the purpose of this hunt. We can talk while feasting on this fellow. I, for one, am starving.
We're eating that.
Yeah, I was also thinking it looks weird. Also, hey, Anolana and Alexei. Anolana says, the other week I learned you're supposed to stick your thumb through the palette hole. Oh yeah, I have seen that before. So I kind of realized that, but I'm guessing the reason why your character might not when you're a Pictomancer is simply because it would be very difficult to make sure that the hole matches all races, because even though there's like a scale difference between them, the proportional difference in size between the races doesn't always correspond to the proportional difference in finger size. So, exactly. Clipping problems, ahoy. Although that hasn't been a problem previously now, has it? Except in regards to hair and hats, right? Like Shai says, now we only need Mimic and Yeti to finish up the Final Fantasy VI classes. I'm sure, very confident, that 8.0 will be where we get specifically the Yeti job. That's the one we're getting. Hey Kat, hope you're doing well. Maybe it's some heavy paper. That could be. Maybe it's like really heavy ink. So just... With the wildlife pacified and the researchers safe, our task is complete. We don't even get to see us eat it? That just leaves the matter of the colibri meat. For better or for worse, there's really only one place we can take it to here in Sharlayan, the last stand. Come, let us see what Dickon can cook up for us. There's no new dungeon, Cat. I believe there's a new trial. The entrance there is to Ether Font. But there's a solo duty. Hey Nov, says you know the item of the new relic weapons. I haven't gotten one yet, but I don't know if Garzel is still in the chat, but correct me if I'm wrong, the new relics are item level 665, right? They should be 665, based on all prior knowledge. So they're the same item level as savage weapons. Well now, there's a famished face if I've ever seen one. What can I get you, Kaiser? Oh, bird meat from the hunt, you say? Leave it to me. I have just the recipe. It's a new dish I recently learned from some sailors, and for you lot, it's on the house. Have as much as you like, you hear? Yeah, that's a lot of tombstones you'll need to find, farm, no?
Come, come. Let's enjoy the bounty of our first outing together. I'd heard that Charlayan cuisine was terrible, but this is fantastic.
And here's the budget. Here's all the animation budget for 655. You thought it was actually Wuk Lamat, but it's actually this cutscene.
What is this? Oh, it smells spicy.
Oh, come now. Since when did you become so soft? It's not like we don't have spicy food in Tural, too.
According to Dickon, intensely hot dishes have become popular in Razadhan after a traveller ordered a curry with several times the usual amount of spice.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Zero.
So he started offering the same in order to please the growing Harnish population here in Charlian.
It's nothing I can't handle.
Your boorish manners reflect poorly on the both of us. I wish you would consider your station.
I swear, sometimes it feels like you open your mouth only to criticize.
Would I be correct in assuming you've known each other for a long time?
Aye, thick as thieves since we were little.
I beg to differ. She is a long-standing acquaintance. Nothing more.
Ouch!
I see. I see.
All this time you were from Tural. Oh, would that I had known sooner. There's so much I'd like to ask.
You and everyone else. I've kept it quiet so as to avoid the endless interrogations.
Well, if he's going to be a miser, I'll be happy to tell you about our homeland instead. Since ancient times, many peoples have called Tural home, and they've been fighting each other for nearly as long. The fighting finally stopped some 80 years ago, when the reigning Dawn Servant unified the disparate communities and founded a new nation.
And that's how Tuliolal came to be.
Wuk Lamat keynote. That, and also this feels weirdly similar to the Thavnir backstory, although it's closer to the present, I guess.
Since then, we've enjoyed an era of uninterrupted peace.
For 80 whole years.
But my father is getting old, and he wishes to relinquish the throne to a worthy successor. One who can preserve his legacy. Including myself, there are 4 claimants to the throne. But while we all have the right to participate, one among us cannot be allowed to rule.
A man who is too ambitious by half. Word of the Garlean Empire's collapse has reached Tural. While most are simply relieved, he sees weakness to exploit and would lead our armies across the seas on a campaign of conquest.
After everything my father has done to give us peace, he would drag us back into war. I can't allow it. No matter what, I must win this contest.
I understand your reasons. But this being an event that will dictate the course of your nation's future, is it appropriate for outsiders like us to be involved?
Oh, it's more than appropriate. The Dawn Servant himself expressly encourages it. The ruler of Tural must navigate the intricacies of myriad cultures, and there's no better way to prove oneself qualified to do so than to work with foreign allies. That's why I sought you out. Through our hunt, I've confirmed that you're a warrior of considerable skill, but more importantly, one of good character as well. And so I ask you, will you lend me your strength and help me win the throne of Tulihualal? You don't need to decide right this moment. But I will need you if I'm to triumph over the competition. I'll stay here as long as I can while waiting for your answer.
In that case, allow us to prepare a room for you at the Baldessian Annex.
That's very kind of you. Oh, and one more thing. Once we finish eating, would you mind if I took the rest of the meat?
That's a lot of meat. Also, she's going to need a room because she's going to wait a long time. Yeah, I do agree, though. I'm very happy that I can be doing the MSQ this early, you could say. Not everyone can do that. On a random Tuesday, you could say. Whether Wuk Lamat has the markings of a ruler, I couldn't say, but I do know that she deeply cares for her nation and her people. Whether you choose to help her, though, is for you and you alone to decide. Think on it well. Now then, it's past time I reported our mission success to the guild ship. I would have done so sooner, except Her Highness needed to have her royal meal. I shall come by the annex later. Till then. By the way, you don't actually get to choose whether you want to do this or not. You're going to do this. The MSQ demands that you say yes. You do realize that, yes? Well, I dare say we now have a fair grasp of Wuk Lamat's situation. Still, you've been afforded time to consider her invitation. Why not use it to learn more about Tural? Numenon is bound to have some information on the continent. It certainly wouldn't hurt to be better informed. Quite right. Now, not only would it help you to make an informed decision, but if you do choose to go, you would be better prepared for what awaits. Come, my friend, let us be off to the archives. Blah, 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 blah. Look, it's Puddingway. Principles of blue magic and spell acquisition. Oh, this is interesting. I want to read this. The origins of blue magic can be traced back to the esoteric practices of the Valaki, a tribe in the distant continent of Tural. The tribe holds nature in the highest, and in seeking to cultivate a spiritual connection with it, they have learned to harness the power of the wildlife around them. In exchange for teaching them the common tongue, I was permitted to live among them and train in their ways. Those days were some of the most grueling I remember, but they were tremendously rewarding. For instance, I had the privilege of visiting Lapis Canyon, the tribe's sacred grounds. It is so named for this cerulean deposit that wells up to the surface, turning the entire canyon a brilliant blue. Under Shaman's watchful eye, I finally managed to master the Wallachi's art and make the animal's powers my own. As no name existed for it in the common tongue, I took the liberty of naming it Blue Magic. The reason I chose this color, as you will have doubtless gleaned, is for the significance it holds to the Wallachi. I cannot think of a name more fitting to honor the people from whom this noble magic was born. Look, someone else in cherry pink. Eorzean cuisine. A history. It is impossible to adequately discuss Eorzean cuisine without speaking of that land from which many of our modern-day staples hail, the far eastern continent of Tural. Ogre pumpkins, ruby tomatoes, even the ubiquitous popoto, these crops and more that regularly grace Eorzean dining tables trace their origins to the New World, as the place is known to most. The tale of this culinary immigration begins in the year 1498 of the 6th Astral Era, when a Lomensan sailor named Ketanram successfully traversed the Indigo Deep to arrive at the theretofore unknown continent. Ketanram spent several moons exploring inland, in the course of which he encountered the denizens of the sprawling nation of Mamul-Ja. He was even granted an audience with their supreme leader, whose confidence he won along with permission to roam freely. Ketanram would return to Tural several times, but during his first expedition he charted the land and gathered myriad root vegetables and seeds to bring back to Limsa Lomensa. The most notable of these was the popoto, whose ease of cultivation and nutritional value saw it quickly spread to all corners of Eorzea. Produce was far from the only bounty of Ketanram's expeditions to Tural. Many tantalizing recipes such as the bean-filled burrito and gripping legends such as that of the Golden City reached our shores by way of his ship. To those outside of Ketanram's circle, Tural largely remains shrouded in mystery, yet its influence on our cuisine cannot be overstated. Many scholars, myself included, would relish the chance to immerse themselves in the culinary culture of that faraway continent. Getting the small guy in all. Ah, yes, all the popotos, they must hail from there. Wouldn't that be hilarious? We finally get to Tural and it's like 90% Lalafels. And there's like 10 of those Mamul-Ja people. The flora and fauna of Tural. Every land has given rise to unique wildlife, and the continent of Tural is no exception. Yet, while some of the creatures have become a familiar sight in Eorzea, many and more exist that are rarely seen this side of the Indigo Deep. This tome introduces a select variety of species as described in the testimonies of sailors and adventurers. Alpaca. Accustomed to Tural's craggy mountain ranges, this four-legged beastkin has been domesticated for seemingly hundreds, if not thousands of years. Their soft, white fleece is highly prized by weavers, while their strong legs and sure-footedness make them capable beasts of burden. Weavre? This ferocious scalekin is native to the dense jungle of Tural. The Mamul-Ja have succeeded in taming them and utilizing their prodigious strength from manual labor. Given their immense size and power, it should come as no surprise that the Weavre is also employed as a siege beast. Enemy fortifications cannot long withstand this horned brute's rampage. Valigarbanda. Turali folklore holds that this bird-like creature is the mightiest of beasts and the very embodiment of nature's power. Whether it exists beyond myth, however, is uncertain. Oh. This bird is very powerful, assuming it exists at all. Lines in the sand. The geopolitics of Hydaelyn. Let us begin by comparing the geographical characteristics of the three great continents in Tural. The former stretches from east to west and lies entirely within the northern hemisphere. In contrast, the latter extends to the far reaches of both northern and southern hemispheres, and the difference immediately presents itself in the form of climate variance. Shifts in climate tend to be gentler when moving east and west, but harsher when moving north and south. Owing to this fact, longitudinal migration is far more common in history, whether it be by men, animals, or plants. A case in point is the Allegans, who rose to power in Aldenard before advancing east into Ilsebard. Their movement would be mirrored thousands of years later by the Garleans. Meanwhile, although the disparate tribes of Tural waged war with one another for generations, stymied by the climate, none could make any great headway now north or south. Tribes hailing from frozen lands withered beneath the desert sun, while those that thrived in open plains could not pierce dense jungle. Such was the way of it, until the leader of the Mamuljar succeeded in bringing the continent under one banner. Given the land's divided history and the reason thereof, one cannot help but be in awe of this feat. Truly, it is a testament to the Autarch's greatness. Having perused a wide selection of books relating to Tural, you are somewhat better informed about your potential destination. Grahart here will be eager to know that you have what you have discovered. Should you wish to read these books again, speak with the reference page. Speak with the it is quite funny that it's named the reference page. Just talk with the reference page. It's that smart. Can't find something in your book? Just speak with the reference page. Scout the library to your satisfaction, have you? Excellent. While there are a few books wholly dedicated to the subject of Tural, I dare say you've found tidbits of useful information scattered here and there. But come, let's continue this outside. The mammoths do not take kindly to chatter. And here we are outside. Now then, I'm quite keen to hear your honest impressions. I couldn't help but notice that we read the very same book on cuisine. I was pleasantly surprised to find references to Tural within. Among them, did anything in particular pique your interest? Potatoes! I have a newfound appreciation for them. I think I'll choose the top one. Or what? Was rather taken with the tale of Ketenram. I will take the potato one. That's funnier. As have I. Despite having just enjoyed a hearty meal, I found myself craving potatoes. As they keep well, they were a boon to sailors, and it was that same property that allowed them to survive the voyage to Eosia. The book also mentioned a method of preservation which sees potatoes repeatedly frozen and dried. The resultant product was apparently used in a stew by people in mountainous regions. I should like to sample that dish one day. That and all the unique cuisines of that vast continent. And then... But moving on, did you perchance learn all about the fauna of Tural? Given your adventuring background, I expect the topic would interest you. I learned about Valigabanda. Now, why do I get the impression you're imagining pitting your skills against the fell beast? Unfortunately, I found scant details on your would-be prey. One source simply described it as an enormous winged creature with scales hard as steel that rules the skies. I should like to see it with my own eyes, presuming it even exists. I mean, we've seen less crazy things, so... I thought I heard familiar voices. Fancy running into the two of you here? Well, well, have some research of your own, do you? Aye, we hope to arm ourselves with knowledge that may benefit the Guardian people. Having forged a new trade agreement with Radzatan, they will next look to foster relations with other nations. This includes former imperial provinces. In view of this, we hope to find hints in history on how neighbors of differing races and ideologies might engage with one another. And what of the two of you? What endeavor brings you here this day? And then I told them everything that has happened so far. Freeze-dried potatoes. Exactly. Don't freeze dry your Lalafels, everyone. A nation composed of the disparate peoples of Tural. I dare say this is precisely the kind of example we seek. We'd do well to read up on Tural ourselves. It is hard to say. The contest! Is Katsu the only one allowed to help Wuk Lamat? There was no mention of such restrictions as I recall. On the contrary, Wuk Lamat gave us the impression that she could have several champions. I think I know how to make the most of our respite. Follow me, Alphino. We have planning to do. Alice, wait! Would seem our plans have changed, if you'll excuse me. They never could rest on their laurels. Come, let us return to the annex. So you were not interested in the facts I found about blue magic, Grazia? No? Okay. How about the cardinal directions and all that? No? Okay. Fair enough. Look, it's Antila.
Oh, it's just... Despite all that we've learned, I can't help but feel we've yet to hear the whole story. What about you, my friend? Are you inclined to accept or refuse Wuk Lamat's request?
I never say no to a new adventure.
Ha! I thought you might say that. With an intrepid attitude such as yours, I believe all shall be well. Be it the contest or something else, there will be many trials for you to overcome at your destination. But in the course of seeing new lands and meeting new people, you'll surely find a way forward. That's what adventurers do, is it not? Such a journey would be the envy of many a scholar. Distant as it is, Tural remains largely unknown to us, with only meager records to be found in Numenon. The experiences to be had, all the things you might hear, feel, and think. It's enough to stir me to the core.
He set the line! Did you hear he set the line?
Life is a series of journeys, my friend, and there's no telling what awaits us on the long road. But what's important is to be true to yourself as you walk it. Only then can we hope to be content when we arrive at the end of one and step forward into another. Ah, but there's an idea. I have a matter to attend to at the Agora. Please, go on inside. I will join you shortly.
Grace Heidelin confirmed. Well, there must always be a Heidelin or something. Sneaky Sancred. Ah, yes. The Scions are disbanded. That's how it works. We're just a group of friends going on an adventure. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just me and the boys going on adventure. Welcome back, Katsu. If you're looking for Wuk Lamat, she is currently with the others in her chambers. If you like, I can go and fetch them for you. Yes, please. Understood. Please wait in the main hall. We didn't want to design her room. Not yet, at least. So there.
You have the look of someone who's made up their mind. Go on then. Let's hear it.
I wish to boldly go where I've never gone before. Perfect.
Then you need me as much as I need you. Together we'll blaze new trails in Tural.
You're not planning to leave without us, are you? Alphano, Alize! What are you two doing here?
We happened to cross paths at Numenon earlier, you see, and I told them about Wuk Lamat. And when we fortuitously met again at the Agora just now, they expressed an interest in meeting our visitor.
Ah, you must be the twins who are sneaking after Erenville as toads.
100 things about us you could have told her, and you chose that.
10 out of 10 comedy, Erenville. I appreciate it. I see you. I appreciate you. Nice. Oh yeah, those? Yeah, there was this one thing they did.
First impressions last.
"'Tis an honor and a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Your Highness. Alphano Leveilleur at your service, and this is my sister Alize."
Oh no, let's not do that. I really can't stand titles. So, you want to participate in the contest too, is that right?
Indeed we do. We've been assisting with the rebuilding effort in Garlemald. Yet while progress is being made, the question remains of how the nation might reconcile with its neighbors. We believe there is much we might learn from Tuliolal, a nation founded on unity. And in return for this honor, we would spare no effort in supporting your claim.
The more the merrier, I say. And I'd be keen to learn about Eorzea and Garlemald from you as well.
Having recruited so many committed and capable allies, I presume you have no need for my continued assistance?
Nonsense! Like I told you before, you're indispensable. They're strong, aye, but strangers to our land. They need someone to guide them, to point out the dangers, and spare them grisly deaths. I can't think of anyone better suited to that task than you. What's more, Despite your assertions, I know you haven't given up on the City of Gold.
As I recall, Kryl, you were the first to state your desire to visit Tural.
Perhaps I was. Still, I can't help but worry about being away just when our order is beginning to find its feet again.
You have nothing to worry about. I haven't forgotten how you held the fort while I set off to explore Alzadal's legacy. It's only fair that I return the favor. Pray, leave the students to Ojika and me.
But, Raha...
You want to retrace your grandfather's steps, don't you? This is a rare opportunity, and I insist that you seize it.
Thank you, Raha. Thank you.
Well, looks like it's settled. I'm counting on you all to help me win the throne.
Oh, not fair. She gets a sound effect for her doing it.
I suppose now is a good time to show you what I spent a small fortune on at the Agora.
It's a giant, poorly folded burrito.
There.
Or a map. That'd be my second guess.
This, my friends, is the latest map of the world, created to celebrate our friendship with the Loperids. Cast your eyes west of Sharlayan, for there it lies. The site of your next great adventure, Tural.
Graha, Tia. We did it! Ta-da! Matthew says we're not actually planning to leave at all for 5 months. Indeed. I am a bit surprised that we got to choose now. But it is pretty funny. Oh, so you will help me? Yes. So let's go. Not right now. But what? Why not? I'm busy with what? You know, things such as what? Hildebrand, help me here. It's a long story, but the important part is such devastation. I want to let you know that I always watch the credits on these streams, just so you know. And fortunately, the credits are usually not as long as the A Realm Reborn ones. Because they are like 2 hours long. I think they were 2 hours. Nice art, though. People skipping the credits are missing out. Wait, Gaia had voice credits? Was she voiced in that cutscene? Huh. Something funny about Beauregard is that... What was it? Thaliak... The voice actor for Thaliak was basically told, well, no one else has actually said Beauregard's name in the actual in-game voiceover ever. So technically there isn't an official pronunciation or something to that effect. So he kind of got the choice to decide whether he was named Beauregard, or something completely different, which I think is really funny. All I know with Gaia is that she has like a little, I guess, extra appearance in the previous patch MSQ. If you have done the Eden raids beforehand, but only if you have. But I don't seem to recall her actually have, like, I don't recall that cutscene actually being voiced. So that's a little bit weird. It is voiced, okay. That explains that. I guess I forgot because it's such a short bit. It is a little wild when you think about it that Gaia comes in for like one cutscene, but it's an optional detail, but it's voiced. Like, I feel like there are cutscenes that are not voiced that deserve, like, that also deserve voice lines if that one got any. Like, not that it has to be a competition all of a sudden, but it's just funny to think about, I feel. But yeah, so now we have I'm guessing that we don't have any more MSQ in... We've been promised, I believe, a 657 and a 658 patch. Or something like that. With one of them promising the Final Fantasy 16 event. But that's it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be no more MSQ until Dawn Trail. I'm pretty sure. And that's pretty much that. But I do wonder which one of the patches they will... So there's one thing that usually happens near the end of a raid tier's life cycle, is that they remove the weekly lockout on the Savage part of the raid tier. I'm pretty sure, like, pretty confident they haven't done that yet on the current raid. As in, I would be shocked if they had and I hadn't even noticed. But by extension of that, I do wonder when they will lift that. How long before Dawn Trail they will do that? It is an interesting thing because when they do this, it means that a huge amount of players might like finish up any remaining raiding they wanted to do. But it also means that if there's anyone who like comes late to the party in that regard, might have an even harder time getting it done. But then again, if there's only a few months left until the raid becomes completely redundant, then it's not so bad. It is not so bad. Because it might take a bit for people to do it. It depends on how much you want, because some players will look at it and go, oh, there's no weekly lockout anymore. In that case, and then they'll just farm full gear for all jobs. Just every single one. Just full best in slots. Whereas others will just go, well, I just want these few pieces for my off spec or something. There will also be some people that will finally do the Savage Raid because they'd rather not just get it like one boss at a time. So just do P9S. Once that's cleared, they'll just farm it until they have all the pieces they need from there. Go on to P10, go on to P11, and so on and so forth. Hey Chester, the servers have been up since for an hour and 46 minutes. Just about. Matthew says, I've already got all the raid-based pieces. And see, that is exactly part of the reason why this it's a slightly controversial topic of when should the weekly lockout be lifted on a Savage Raid tier. Because there's a lot of disagreements on that. On the one hand, by the time like 2 months have passed of a raid tier, everyone who cleared like week 1 or 2 should have had the opportunity to get most, if not all, of their best in slot gear, so does it really matter by that point? On the other hand, the simple fact that a raid is on a weekly lockout motivates people to do it every week, just in case. So, by keeping it on a weekly lockout, they keep the content relevant. On the other hand, if there isn't enough time to actually like get everything you want out of it, it might feel pointless to actually pick up Savage raiding late in an expansion. So usually what happens is when the raid tier is like about to end, you could say, it makes sense to just lift the lockout entirely. But the counter argument to that is you could probably do that safely 3 or 4 months in to the raid tier. But if you do that, then whatever time they actually lift this restriction will have a huge chance that anyone that misses that window will now have trouble finding groups because everyone else finished it then. And then, yeah, you could say, well, they'll just have to group with anyone else who missed it, but there's a very large variance of people that would miss it. And, like, it's not a Final Fantasy XIV specific thing. If something doesn't have, like, a weekly limit, then a lot of players will simply grind it until they're done. It's not uncommon with gamers. Like, there's a reason why a lot of games have this weird thing with, like, you've been playing for an hour, consider taking a break, because some players can't actually figure out how to consume games in a healthy way. Oh, you're missing only a few pieces, Matthew. Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know what would be best there. I suppose picking up super slow Black Mage would be a matter of practice. And the only way for you to get the skills to play it might be by trying it. But yeah, that's the reason why, from my perspective, I think it's probably for the best. Even though it's not equally fun for everyone, it's probably for the best that a raid has a weekly lockout for a long time. This is slightly slightly related, but I actually had the exact experience of a raid, quote unquote, not having a quote unquote weekly lockout, leading to everyone having finished by the time I was available to do it. Just not in Final Fantasy. Years ago, back in Monster Hunter World, which some of you may know has a little bit of a resurgence right now, they released Behemoth on PC like over the Christmas holidays, which meant that I wasn't available to play at that very moment. When I came back and was available, everyone that I was playing with, like my entire like play group, you could say, had already finished. Like, they had not just finished, they had grinded everything they wanted and done the extreme version, so they had no reason to do it anymore. So I never did it as a result. You could say, but there's no weekly logout on that, because you only need to clear the extreme version once. And that's right. That's the reason why you usually add reasons to grind a raid or something, specifically so that people keep doing it. It adds longevity. Of course, Monster Hunter World has no need to keep you playing every week in that way, but it's the same idea. If you only had, like, if clearing P9S just added like a tab to a vendor where you could just pick up any items you wanted, you probably wouldn't be doing it every week. You would just do it the one time to unlock the items, and there you go. So it makes sense to add these artificial barriers. The only reason why it can get extra controversial is specifically because a game that is paid for with a monthly subscription might have a hard time reasonably defending adding artificial like extra length to content by adding weekly lockouts. Like, that one is pretty difficult to defend when obviously you have an economic incentive to stretch out the content. Like that's the worst part. The argument on the other hand is, of course, that you don't need all that gear for most content. Like, if you want to do an ultimate, for example, you'd need to complete the specific Savage raid that unlocks it. And then you need to, you know, potentially accumulate the best in slot gear, but you don't have to do it on the patch where the ultimate comes out. So you could just wait until all of the things that you need are not on a weekly lockout and just come back later. So you can just circumvent this entire problem. But then again, that's still a little weird if the most effective way to approach new content is to wait until it's no longer new. Like, it's a difficult balance to strike. It is difficult. And I think ultimately having weekly lockouts like this for the majority of a raid's lifespan is more beneficial than detrimental. That's my opinion. With that said, it could be worse. At least Final Fantasy XIV has the lockouts removed eventually. And isn't the case for all games. Absolutely not. I'm wondering if they've metered out the pictures from the quests so that we get the last one when we reach the end of the credits. Or if it just loops back around. Because if it loops back around, then I'm concerned how long these credits are. Or maybe they just hang on the last picture for a really, really, really long time. Oh, we can speed up the scroll speed. Community team should be towards the end, right? And we are also nearing the end of the of the pictures, assuming they don't loop back around, because this is patch 6.5. But yeah, it is funny with these things like lockouts. I think personally, if there wasn't like weekly lockouts, I might be more inclined to do Savage raiding and things like that. But then again, I would have a hard time finding people to do it, because everyone who's interested in it would, you know, start it and finish it as quickly as possible, because there's nothing, like there's no artificial way to extend the time in which people are interested. So it is difficult. I also feel like if there was no lockout, it might make some fights easier than they were supposed to, because you could just go and farm, for example, P9S, 10S, 11S, until you have all the gear that you want, and then do P12S. It would also have the effect of very quickly devaluing a lot of the weekly tombstone stuff, because you could just have full Savage drops by that point if you can farm it. Like that would also, like, if there's no weekly lockout on the raids, then you also kind of cause problems with there being a weekly tombstone limit. So like it's like a sort of a snowball effect. If there's no weekly lockout on one thing, why have weekly lockout on anything at this point, right? With that said, speaking of the new cutscenes, I'm glad that we got a torso on those legs that we saw last time. I do wonder, Wuk Lamat used an attack that looked like she threw out, like, I think it looked like 2 spinning axes, like in 2 different directions, but it looked like it was like a full circle AoE. Maybe it was in more directions than that and just didn't notice, but it specifically looked like she threw out like a spinning axe, and it had a distinct action name. I wonder if that's like a preview of a new action for Warrior. It could also just be that she had that, but I would be a little surprised if they animated all that for her to just randomly use this one time in a solo duty. This is new. It's a new picture, I'm pretty sure. This is, of course, the most important part of this picture. That must be a really, really rough flight when you're this tiny next to this behemoth. See, I thought we would know that it was over because we reached the end of pictures from cutscenes, and then they just pull this move of going, well, we have more. Was that it? No more pictures? The credits are like, I didn't expect anyone to watch it in real time. What are you doing? Why are you still here? But this is, I also want to say, just in case anyone's disappointed, with the amount of content added in the patch. Because that isn't uncommon for this to happen. I do feel like the last time when we got a, you know, a not major patch, a lot of people were very disappointed with there only being so little content, and this time there's even less. This is normal. Like, this is actually normal amounts of content, as far as I know, for such a patch. For like a final patch like this. It's just supposed to lead us into the next expansion and then like finish up on a few things typically. Like we're finishing up on the relic weapons. I don't know if we're finishing up on it, but there's the Tataro's Grand Endeavor quest line. There's something on the Island Sanctuary, but we have been told that they might expand on this more. But that's we have a bunch of things. It's a lot of small things. I think the big, there's also the finishing on the Allied Beast tribes, which is interesting. If I remember correctly, there wasn't such a thing for Shadowbringers, right? I feel like they got rid of that for Shadowbringers or something like that. Or do I remember that wrong? And then because people were sad that it wasn't there, they added it back. Like they did it again this time. Or something. But I think the biggest change that this patch actually added is there's actually a major list of changes to the Shatter frontline. Like that's actually the biggest change they've done. But this patch is a whole bunch of Shatter changes. Which in broad strokes can be summarized to something like there's more crystals active at any one time. They're faster to break, so people spend less time just bashing away at them. But they give less points, so you will have to engage combat more as a result, because you'll have to fight for control over the crystals as you basically mine them more often. They're getting kind of repetitive. Shatter? Yeah. I think the biggest thing that they added there is before the change, the large crystals spawned apparently every 2 minutes, give or take, but they would only spawn one at a time, which meant that for the most part, the way that Shatter played out is that unless it was the center crystal, it was like a crystal in a specific region, which led to a specific, like, predictable configuration of how each team was going to engage that battle, or if they weren't. Whereas now they're making it so that, according to the patch notes, that 2 crystals will spawn, which means that, well, either there's going to be a center one and one on one of the sides, or there's going to be 2 different sides, which means that it adds a lot more, like, variance to the gameplay, because your team might decide to go all in on one of the crystals. Maybe you split up, hoping you can, like, get some value out of both. And that's a much more different approach than what we had before, where it was, well, you have to engage this big crystals because that's the one there is. They also made it so that they respawn a lot faster, I've been told. Or I've read again. So it might mean that Shatter gets a lot more fast-paced. There isn't time to have, like, the majority of your party just hanging out in base, grinding the crystals in your base. And because, as far as I could see, they reduced the amount of points you get from those crystals, it's also less effective. Slightly less effective. But yeah, I'm glad to see that they're adding some changes to Shatter, because I didn't enjoy it. Personally, I had reached a point with Shatter where if I was like, well, I'm going to do frontline on, like, if I had plans to do frontline on a stream in any capacity, I would flip what I was doing Tuesday or Thursday. If Tuesday, like, if I plan to do frontline stuff on a Tuesday in any capacity, and frontline and Shatter landed on a Tuesday, I would just say, now, guess I'm doing that stream on a Thursday instead. Weird how that turned out, because I'd rather not do Shatter. So it's a good thing they're making some changes. Also, I would like it if they added, like, I don't know, like a progress bar somewhere here. Like, I don't mind seeing all the credits, but I would like to know how far we are. Now that they've stopped with all the pictures, I have no idea how far we are. You know, I think we will make use of the speed up function. I think we will. I do think we will. This is just the intro. That didn't go very much faster. Still need a few hours. I will see about that. I feel like this didn't speed up very much, did it? It's double speed. It's a lot of people. But I'm always surprised by how many there are. But this is still nothing compared to A Realm Reborn credits. Like, it's not even close. Simply because once they, like, in A Realm Reborn, they had credits like this also. Like, I believe there were less people in this set of credits. But then I believe it ended on, like, a thank you to every single person who played 1.0. Which is a lot of people. And it showed every single one of them. So, I think that is like over half of the credits is just that. And they don't show those anymore. I had expected the speed up to be a lot more than this. Yeah. Once we've seen the credits, there's still a little more. We technically didn't complete the last quest yet. So we'll do that. And when we've done that, there'll probably be a short break. And then we will hop on to Hildebrand. And I think in the Hildebrand stream, we'll probably also do other optional stuff. If there is anything particular. But that's the plan. G-Edge. Digital technology. But we are soon there. I hope. Feel like every time I see another thing, I'm like, okay, now that's the last one. Alright, that's the last one. Okay, so that's the last one. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long the credits are. But it's a good song at least. If I remember correctly, in that A Realm Reborn situation, again, nothing bad about it, but in that section where they were showing everyone who played 1.0, I think they played a song that was like a 30-second loop. Which is a bit much for like an hour. Reminds me of the... there's this specific quest series in like a sequence in the Endwalker leveling story where you're basically running around with the same song that is slightly more intense than it needs to be for like 15 fetch quests. It feels like, with no combat. Iridon says, when I started the Hildebrand quest line, I thought it was going to be some spooky storyline, zombies and everything. They just fell off laughing. So yeah, that's the thing with Hildebrand. But it actually makes sense because that is apparently sort of something that they picked up after 1.0 or something like that. Because Mandeville and all that was in 1.0 as well. Yeah, the Hildebrand storyline is like very hit or miss. Like, for every person that says, oh, it's awesome, there's another one who goes, I can't stand it, why is it mandatory for the relic weapons? And things like that. Now it's even funnier because it's mandatory for a new trial. Another one. But it makes sense. There was no Hildebrand in Shadowbringers, but in Stormblood there was a trial in the Hildebrand story. And in ARR there were 2. Right? Pretty sure there was just 2. So that makes up for there not being one in Heavensward. And it's mandatory for mental roulette, that's true. The reason for that is that all trials that can appear in the trial roulette is mandatory for the mental roulette. And basically all content that can happen in a normal roulette is mandatory for the mental roulette. And then just also most old extremes are also required. Lest you wonder about your passage to Tural, Erenville will arrange a ship through his guild. You need only worry about your own preparations. Speaking of which, please take this with you, a rugged and ready knapsack. May it serve you well on your coming adventures. Now, I'm not sure when departure will be, but rest assured, I'll let you know when I hear something. Till then, please take your ease for like 5 months. We have unlocked knapsack! Meanwhile, in Lim Salomensa.
When does the next ship set sail?
May I ask your destination?
The north and east, I've already seen. I suppose I'll head west this time.
West, you say?
Meanwhile, in Old Sharlayan.
I see you've made up your mind. I had a feeling you'd be keen.
But to think that our comrades too are thither bound. Fate doth work in mysterious ways.
Indeed. It will be a grueling task, having to contend with them.
If the prospect doth trouble thee, 'tis not too late to decline the petition. Though thine expression would suggest thou art far from perturbed.
Oh, how could I possibly be, knowing what's to come?
Then let us delay no further and secure passage on a vessel.
Aye. This will be a mission to remember. Come, my friend. We make for Tural.
Just in case it wasn't obvious. And that was how all of the Scions landed in Tural together again, somehow.
Tell me, have you been to the ruins beneath the waters of the Bounty? Or the treasure islands beyond the frozen waters of Blind Frost in Offerd's north? The fabled golden cities of the New World?
We anchor now, the tide is high, and dawn of new adventure nigh. Row forth to break horizon's bond, and tread the gilded path beyond. Emmett Silk has been added to the Unending Codex. Well, that's about time, isn't it? How big is the knapsack? Perfect. It also has boots on it. Excellent. That was the new quest stuff. Which means that our next destination will be something in Ratsathan. With that said, I will make that in a separate stream so that we don't do both MSQ and Hildebrand in that. So if you did enjoy this stream, remember that you can hop into the Discord community server. You find some of the people, most of the people that are in the stream chat right now, I'm sure. And you can find the weekly schedule. You can find whenever I post a stream, which will be in a bit. You can also find the role assignments room, where you can grab the reminder role if you want to get a notification when I post said stream. With that said, if you did enjoy this stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it in the YouTube system. That tells YouTube that you enjoyed it and you would like other people to also see it. So thank you so much in advance. Turns out that I didn't have very much voice acting work to do in this case, because most of it was voice acted already. That's how it is sometimes. I will be back in a little bit, and you will be able to see I will post about a new stream coming up very shortly, and we will do the Hildebrand stuff, and probably some other side quest stuff. With that said, good afternoon, evening, night, or morning, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.